Hello and welcome to English Time Daily History. Today we delve into the life and legacy of one of the 20th century's most influential and controversial figures, Mao Zedong, a revolutionary, a poet, a strategist, and the founding father of the People's Republic of China. Mao's impact on his nation and the world is undeniable and continues to be debated to this day. His journey from a farmer's son to the paramount leader of the world's most populous country is a story of ambition, ideology, and immense societal transformation. In this episode, we'll journey through the turbulent decades of his rule, examining the key moments that defined his leadership. We'll explore how he unified a fractured nation, the revolutionary ideals that fueled his vision, and the profound changes he brought to Chinese society. So, join us as we unravel the complex story of Mao Zedong, the man who shaped modern China. Mao Zedong was born in 1893 in Shoshan Hunan province to a prosperous farming family. From an early age, he was an avid reader and developed a keen interest in political and social issues. His early education exposed him to both traditional Chinese classics and Western thought, which fueled his growing nationalist and revolutionary sentiments. The fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912 and the subsequent period of instability, known as the Warlord era, deeply affected the young Mao. He witnessed firsthand the suffering of the common people and the weakness of a fragmented China in the face of foreign encroachment. These formative years were crucial in shaping his worldview. He became convinced that only a radical revolution could save China from its internal decay and external threats. It was during his time as a student and later as a librarian's assistant at Peking University that he was introduced to Marxist-Leninist ideas, which provided him with the ideological framework for the revolution he envisioned. In 1921, Mao was one of the founding members of the Communist Party of China. In the early years, the CPC allied with the more established Nationalist Party, the Kuomintang, led by Sun Yat-sen, in an effort to unify the country. However, after Sun's death, the alliance fractured. His successor, Chiang Kai-shek, turned against the Communists, initiating a brutal purge in 1927. This marked the beginning of a long and bloody civil war. Faced with overwhelming odds, Mao led his beleaguered Red Army on an epic retreat known as the Long March, covering over 6,000 miles of treacherous terrain. This grueling year-long journey became a legendary event in Chinese communist history. Though devastating in terms of losses, the Long March solidified Mao's leadership within the party and served as a powerful propaganda tool, portraying the communists as resilient and determined patriots. It was during this period that Mao developed his distinct brand of revolutionary strategy, emphasizing peasant mobilization and guerrilla warfare, a departure from the traditional urban-focused Marxist model. Following the end of World War II, the Chinese Civil War resumed with renewed intensity. Mao's communist forces, having honed their guerrilla tactics and won significant support among the rural peasantry through promises of land reform, gained the upper hand. The corruption and inefficiency of the nationalist government, coupled with hyperinflation and widespread discontent, led to a collapse of public support for Chiang Kai-shek. By 1949, the Communists had achieved a decisive victory. On October 1st of that year, standing atop the Gate of Heavenly Peace in Beijing, Mao Zedong proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China. This momentous occasion marked the end of what China called its century of humiliation and the beginning of a new era. For millions of Chinese people, it brought a sense of hope and national pride, a promise of stability, and an end to decades of war and foreign domination. The world watched as the most populous nation on earth embarked on a radical new path under its new leader. With the PRC established, Mao set out to transform China from a feudal agrarian society into a modern, industrialized socialist state. His first major campaign was land reform, which redistributed land from landlords to millions of peasants, fulfilling a key promise and solidifying his support base. The government also embarked on initiatives to improve literacy and public health and to promote the rights of women, including the banning of arranged marriages. In the mid-1950s, Mao launched the first five-year plan, modeled on the Soviet system, which focused on heavy industry. The initial results were impressive, with significant growth in steel, coal, and cement production. However, Mao grew impatient with the pace of change. He believed China needed to take a uniquely Chinese path to communism, one that relied on mass mobilization and revolutionary fervor rather than just technical expertise. This conviction would soon lead to one of the most ambitious and ultimately devastating social experiments in human history. In 1958, Mao launched the Great Leap Forward. The goal was to rapidly transform China's economy by collectivizing agriculture into massive communes and setting up small-scale backyard furnaces to increase steel production. The campaign was driven by ideological zeal and wildly unrealistic targets. Peasants were diverted from farming to work on industrial projects and agricultural methods based on Mao's unscientific ideas were implemented. The backyard furnaces produced mostly low-quality, unusable metal. More catastrophically, the diversion of labor and the breakdown of the traditional farming system led to a massive drop in grain production. This, combined with poor weather and the exaggeration of crop yields by local officials eager to please their superiors, resulted in a catastrophic famine. From 1959 to 1961, tens of millions of people died from starvation and related diseases. The Great Leap Forward was an unmitigated disaster that devastated the Chinese countryside and caused immense human suffering, a stark consequence of radical ideology overriding practical reality. The failure of the Great Leap Forward weakened Mao's position within the Communist Party. He temporarily stepped back from day-to-day governance, and more moderate leaders like Liu Shaoqi and Deng Xiaoping took charge of the economy, introducing policies that allowed for a degree of private farming to help the nation recover. However, Mao viewed these pragmatic measures as a betrayal of the revolutionary spirit and a step towards capitalist restoration. He feared that the revolution was losing its momentum and that a new bureaucratic elite was emerging. To reassert his authority and reignite revolutionary fervor, Mao initiated the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution in 1966. He called upon the nation's youth to bombard the headquarters and root out elements elite who had infiltrated the government and society. What followed was a decade of political turmoil, social chaos, and violence that tore the fabric of Chinese society apart. The Cultural Revolution plunged China into a state of neo-anarchy. Encouraged by Mao, millions of young people formed paramilitary groups known as the Red Guards. They targeted anyone deemed a counter-revolutionary, including intellectuals, teachers, party officials, and even their own parents. Ancient temples, art, and historical artifacts were destroyed as remnants of the old world. Schools and universities were shut down, and the economy stagnated. Millions were persecuted, publicly humiliated, and sent to the countryside for re-education. The period was characterized by the intense promotion of Mao's cult of personality. His little red book of quotations became a sacred text, and loyalty to him was paramount. The chaos only began to subside when Mao himself called in the army to restore order. The Cultural Revolution officially ended with Mao's death in 1976, leaving behind a legacy of deep scars, lost generation, and a profound questioning of the path China had taken. Mao Zedong passed away on September 9, 1976, leaving behind a nation profoundly changed yet deeply traumatized. Assessing his legacy is an incredibly complex task. On one hand, he is credited with unifying China after a century of division, ending foreign domination, and transforming the country into a major world power. Under his rule, literacy rates, life expectancy, and women's status saw significant improvements. He created a strong, centralized state that laid the foundation for China's subsequent economic rise. However, this progress came at an immense human cost. His radical policies, such as the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, led to the deaths of tens of millions of people and caused widespread social and economic devastation. The cult of personality he fostered stifled intellectual life and led to extreme political persecution. The Communist Party itself officially evaluated his legacy as 70% good, 30% bad, a formula that acknowledges his revolutionary achievements while admitting to his grave mistakes. Today, Mao's image remains a potent and paradoxical symbol in China. His portrait still hangs over Tiananmen Square, and his face adorns the currency. For some, he is the great revolutionary helmsman who restored national dignity and laid the groundwork for modern China. For others, he is a tyrannical ruler responsible for immense suffering and destruction. His legacy is a subject of both official reverence and quiet criticism. The era of Deng Xiaoping, which followed Mao, saw a move away from radical ideology towards economic pragmatism, famously described as socialism with Chinese characteristics. This new path embraced market reforms and opened China to the world, leading to the economic miracle we see today. Yet, the political system established by Mao remains largely intact. Understanding Mao Zedong is therefore essential to understanding the People's Republic of China's past, its present, and its future. His story is a powerful reminder of the complex interplay between ideology, power, and the human cost of revolutionary change. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and legacy of Mao Zedong. We hope this exploration has provided some insight into one of modern history's most consequential figures. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to English Time Daily History for more deep dives into the people and events that have shaped our world. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.